Hey y'all, this is Tony Wynn, or the Alabama Hellbilly, coming to you one more time. Here on the 4th of July, I thought the appropriate place for this dissertation would be here in front of the Winfield City Hall, which the Winfield City Police Department is also stationed in the same building. Update you on some of the events that's taken place since we last spoke. I continued coming up here and speaking with the police, the mayor, other important citizens here in town concerning the theft of the camera out at our graveyard and the continued acts of vandalism until eventually they got tired of me coming up here. Magically, all of a sudden, one of the police officers came up with my camera. Now, it had been smashed with a hammer and was no longer functional. Also, the memory card was missing out of it along with the batteries. Chief Blaylock, Robert Blaylock, the chief of police here in Winfield, gave me the story initially when he recovered the camera and returned what was left of it to me, that they had found the camera in the pursuit of another crime. They had stumbled across it while investigating some other crime entirely. Said the people who had it had no idea of who I was, that they had been out at the grave visiting one of their family's graves. When they found the camera there filming them, they became offended, took the camera down, asked around to see if they could find out who it belonged to, couldn't find whose it was, and so hung on to it. So I went home, I thought about this overnight, and came to the conclusion that this absolutely did not make sense, as there were 4 other cameras out at the graveyard which nobody had bothered to complain about. Now, by the way, when he returned the camera, Chief Blaylock informed me that if I didn't take the camera and go away and drop this, that they'd be pursuing charges against me for a criminal trespass for daring to put the camera up in the first place. Well, of course, after thinking about this overnight, I came to the conclusion let the bells ring. Well, after thinking about this overnight, I came to the conclusion that this didn't make any sense. As I said, there were 4 other cameras in the graveyard that nobody had ever bothered to complain about. 2 of them right in the same general vicinity where the one we put up was. Our glorious city bell. You'll have to pardon me, I get a little choked up every time I hear that. Having done my time in service to this country myself, it still kind of grabs me. But anyway, given that there were 4 other cameras in the general vicinity where ours was located, it didn't make any sense. And then compounded with the fact that they had to back this up with the threat of bringing me up on criminal charges if I didn't take the camera and just go away. Or what was left of it. So I came back in wanting to pursue charges against the individuals who had taken down the camera. I mean, after all, this is a relatively minor piece of property. We're looking at maybe, what, a $200 fine? If nothing else, it would send a message that this kind of garbage would not really be tolerated and that everybody would be held accountable for what they've done. maybe even serve to back some people off and get me and my family a little peace. Blaylock became rather enraged at me daring to come back and wanting to pursue charges. He also then changed his story on who had taken the camera and proceeded to tell me that it was actually a 16-year-old kid who was just walking past the graveyard and found the camera there and thought it had been abandoned, and so he took it, thinking it was abandoned. Well, now, he didn't just pick the camera up. It wasn't laying loose. It was strapped, tied, secure, chained, and padlocked to the tree. He had to have cut through several rather heavy plastic straps, broken a chain, and busted off a couple of padlocks to have gotten it loose from the tree to begin with. Now, this same logic would apply to somebody walking down an old road who found an abandoned car sitting on the side of the road and decided that it was just abandoned, so they smashed out the window and stole the stereo out of it. It doesn't make sense. Well, Blaylock, when I insisted on pressing charges, he absolutely refused to allow me to do so, informed me that if I didn't shut the hell up and go away and drop this, that I would be brought up on charges for criminal trespass and illegal eavesdropping for daring to put this camera up in the first place. And furthermore, if I put up another one, that was it for me. He'd see to it that I went to jail, period. If I dared to put up another camera. Well, none of this set well with me. So I began calling around, and I had already contacted the Department of Justice. I also started calling around to the State Bureau of Investigation. The local officer over the county in which we dwell, which is Marion County, initially set up a meeting for me, which required me to take off of work. So I took off of work to go up and sit down and discuss this with him. He never showed up. The office was locked up tight, and he wouldn't answer his phone. I tried for several weeks to continue to call him, and he would not answer his phone. Finally, my wife got a hold of him, and he basically told my wife in so many words that it wasn't his problem, that he didn't give a crap, to piss off and leave him alone, that he didn't like us or our attitude. So I contacted his supervisor and went over his head and got a hold of Jonathan Winters, who was immediately compassionate and apologetic for the problems we'd had with his subordinate, and became active. He started making some phone calls to look into it. He wasn't initially on our side. He was just, well, let me make some phone calls and check this out and see what's really going on. He then contacted me back, telling me that what he was getting told from Chief Blaylock and others here in Winfield didn't make any sense. It didn't compute. And that I should be hearing back from the mayor and the city council and Chief Blaylock within a couple of days. They should be contacting me to try to find some way to get this resolved. They never contacted. I tried calling them back. They wouldn't talk to me. They never contacted me. So I called Jonathan back up, Mr. Winters, and he drove down here, all the way down here to Winfield from the other side of the state to talk to him. Now, when he got here, they wouldn't speak with him. They just blatantly refused to even talk to him, which enraged him. But in looking into this, he started discovering some other problems. He called me back, mad as a wet hornet, and telling me in his words to get a lawyer, and these are his exact words, sue the pants off of them, which is exactly the road I really didn't want to go down. But we've started looking and trying to screen lawyers to find a decent lawyer to help us with this. Blaylock, by the way, in the meantime, has just blatantly told me that he does not consider any hostile actions against my wife or daughter or myself to constitute any action with any, and I quote, criminal intent. Actions against my family, as far as Chief Blaylock are concerned, do not constitute any criminal act. As a result, I've been forced to make arrangements with some other former soldiers that I know here in the general community and put them on hot call, have them keep their firearms close by so that if my wife or daughter runs into any poor problems with any of these religious fanatics while I happen to be at work, which I work nearly 45 minutes away, that she can get help. I've made arrangements so that no matter where she's at in this town or in some of the surrounding community, that she is not more than 10 minutes away from armed protection. As an American citizen, I should not be having to do this. I pay my taxes, I obey the law, I harm no one. I just try to go through my life living it according to what I believe and how I believe is right. I should not be forced to hire and arrange for independent protection for my wife and child because the police refuse to protect us because we're not going to a church that they approve of. But this is where we now sit here in Winfield. If anybody watching is a lawyer or knows of a good lawyer who can help us, please contact me immediately. Don't wait, get a hold of me now. We are in about as desperate a need for legal help and counsel as any American citizen has ever been. And to reemphasize, with the direction this case has gone, with what's happening, this is a lot bigger and more important than just me and my family. This is about the rights of every single American. This is about the blood of every single soldier who has ever fought and died so that you can have the freedom to believe whatever you see fit in your heart. This is about the rights of every man and woman who has ever born and ever lived or will ever live in this country to follow the dictates of their own heart wherever they lead. To believe in Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, the Wiccan goddess, or Casper, or the Great Pumpkin. It really shouldn't matter. That's a personal decision. As an American, that's your right. And you're still entitled to legal protection under the law. For the city of Winfield to decide that me and my family do not deserve the protection of the police department because we do not go to a church they approve of borders on treason against every idea and principle this country was founded upon. What else can we do? We have gone as high as we can. We have got to find an attorney. We are trying to find an attorney. We've been looking. Most attorneys don't want to touch this case. They don't want to come anywhere near it because they still have to work, operate, and run their businesses here in the state of Alabama. And should it get out that they're defending non-Christians against Christian persecution, they're pretty much finished in the state. We need help. If anybody knows someone that can help us, please get in touch with us. Like I said, this kind of thing cannot, must not be allowed to occur here in the United States of America. I realize this is Alabama, but Alabama is still part of the United States of America, and here in this country, that must not be allowed. It can't be.